A new poll shows 66% of Americans believe the landmark decision legalizing abortion nationwide should not be completely struck down. If the Supreme Court were to strike down the rule, states would be free to impose their own laws on the issue. Jessica Schneider reports.
We want to outlaw abortion in the state of Oklahoma.
Nearly 24 states are on the brink of banning abortion, and it will happen almost immediately if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. 13 states have trigger laws, abortion bans that will go into effect once Roe is off the books. 9 states have so-called zombie laws, abortion bans that were never repealed once Roe took effect in 1973. These bans would go back into effect if the conservatives on the court eliminate that constitutional right to abortion.
That very moment, prosecutors around the state could begin prosecuting doctors, and I would argue potentially women as well.
Michigan's law makes no exception for rape or incest, but it would allow abortions to save the mother's life. But the Republican running for Attorney General in Michigan says he would prosecute even if abortion was performed in an effort to save the mother.
They then said, well, what about the life of the mother? Okay, you have an exception for that. I said, I do not. Because there is literally no medical diagnosis that says that if the mother's life is in danger, abort the baby.
That's just one example of how uncertain the actual enforcement of criminal abortion statutes could be. In Wisconsin, the Attorney General is already saying he'll refuse to prosecute and will instead leave it to local district attorneys.
It's my view that we have problems that we need our law enforcement to be dealing with, like violent crime and drug trafficking, and we don't need to shift their focus from those important efforts to going after people for allegedly violating a ban that nobody had understood to be enforceable for almost 50 years.
The wide-ranging prosecutorial approach reflects just how uncertain and uneven the legal landscape would be in a post-Roe world.
I think the most important and difficult question is going to be whether states can reach out of their own borders to prosecute people, or whether states are going to prosecute patients for having abortions, as Louisiana seems to be doing.
Louisiana lawmakers passed a bill out of committee this week that would classify abortions as homicides, leaving the door open for patients to be prosecuted. And then there's the question about how officials would even find out about illegal abortions. Privacy advocates are now raising the alarm that people's Google searches could be used against them, or even their own cell phones. Alan Butler leads the Electronic Privacy Information Center and points out that third parties can buy data from Google and perform reverse searches that could enable law enforcement to track who was at an abortion clinic and when.
If a prosecutor goes and gets a court order to get this type of data, or they go and try to buy this data on the open market, for example, which is another thing that happens, then they would know information about the devices that were there, the ID of your device.
Legal experts are now scrambling to fully understand all of the implications of a post-Roe America. And many say rather than the Supreme Court's likely decision being the final word, it could instead spur a flurry of state-by-state legal fights in the years ahead.